What's up, people? Welcome back to another delicious plant-based option. All right, Happy New Year. All right, these are one of the first videos. Actually, this is the first video of the new year that I'm doing. Welcome to my community. Welcome to my channel. All right, we started an amazing program called the Rich Health Community, and I'm just happy to say that this is the first recipe we're gonna be sharing in our community, and I've been waiting weeks for all of the ingredients so I can make this delicious item, right? Let's get this ridiculous napkin out of here. So what we're doing today is a vegan version of oxtail. Now, there's a lot of people out there that would like to say, you're going vegan, why you want to eat meat, why you want to make things that look like meat, blah, 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 blah. We don't have time for none of that, all right? Those naysayers, you tell them to hush and move on along. What we're doing, right, because some of us were not born vegans, right? We ate meat growing up, and there's certain things we miss. Not to say we miss meat in particular, but we miss certain things about certain dishes. So, with that being said, me being from the Caribbean, oxtails is one of the things that I grew up eating a lot, a ton, every week, whatever. So, there's been a lot of recipes online about different kinds of vegan oxtails. Some call it hoaxtails, some call it voxtails, some call it noxtails. I mean, there's tons of different tails out there. We don't care about none of the names. It's vegan oxtails for us. That's what we're gonna leave it at, right? So, you might be asking yourselves, how will you possibly make vegan oxtails? And I'm glad you asked that question, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So before we get into that, I want to remind you to click on the subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and please share and like this video, because this is how I know you, the people, my people, want to see these delicious videos that I'm creating. All right. So without further ado, all right, people, so let's go over the ingredients and why we're using certain things and the whole idea behind this dish, all right? So first things first, we're gonna use green jackfruit. Okay, green jackfruit is very reminiscent of the texture, the look, and the feel of meat, right? So this is why a lot of vegans and plant-based people will use jackfruit. Now, I was never a big fan of green jackfruit because to me it was always like, it was too tangy and it didn't really do it for me in terms of replicating meat, right? But this particular dish, the way it's done, it just works. So hats off to the green jackfruit, all right? We're using canned because we're in America. You know, if we're in Thailand or in the Caribbean, jackfruit fresh would be no issue. Right? So we're gonna use some canned, we're gonna use organic, right? Just so we can feel good about using canned stuff, because I try to not use as much canned things as possible, but sometimes you can't help it, right? So we're doing green jackfruit, right? That's gonna give us the texture, the mouthfeel. We're gonna use red kidney beans, organic as well. All right, this is gonna add some color, it's gonna add some texture, it's gonna give us some protein, which is really amazing, right? We're gonna add some better than bouillon, all right? This is the vegan one, so there's no kind of meat or anything like that in here, right? This is gonna help us infuse our jackfruit when we blanch it, okay? We're gonna use some bay leaves. These bay leaves are actually from St. Lucia. When I was there in February of 2023, all right, I bought them fresh at the market, dried them, and shipped them home. So I'm gonna put some of these in my blanching water because they really add to that kind of broth situation when you're making any kind of vegetable broth that you wanna pack with flavor, all right? So I have about 5 bay leaves in there, all right? If you're getting your bay leaves from the store in America or something like that, I would say put like 6 to 8 because they're really not that fresh. They almost don't have any flavor to them. But these babies, they pack a punch. You know what I mean? So we have our water. I'm gonna just turn it down because I don't want it to evaporate before I need it. Hearts of palm, very important, all right? And with this hearts of palm, this is gonna replace the bone in the oxtail, which is just genius, right? So We're gonna cut these later on and we're gonna stuff it right in the center. So it's gonna, visually, it's gonna look like an oxtail when it's all said and done. All right, and you're gonna see as we go along the process of this and why it really works, okay? The next super important thing, we have Bragg's liquid aminos. We have liquid smoke, right? We have smoked paprika, right? And these three things are gonna add, of course, beautiful smoky flavor, which is something that when you make oxtail, we just kind of have, right? You know, especially cooking oxtail in the Caribbean, you're cooking it on an open fire. Even if you're cooking it in your house, we're adding tons of smoky flavor, right? We're using some spelt flour, which is amazing, which is really healthy and good for you. That's gonna help us bind everything together. It has a natural stickiness to it, which is perfect for this. And then last but not least, we have our rice paper. This right here is the essential must-have ingredient to make this oxtail dish a slam dunk, right? And the reason we're using rice paper, and we're using it two ways. One, if you've ever had oxtail before, there's a kind of cartilage throughout the meat. The rice paper provides that. And then also the rice paper provides the actual rolling to keep everything together so we can then slice it into little cylindrical discs, if you would say, right? To really keep that shape and keep it intact. So that's how we're gonna get that beautiful circular shape that looks like an oxtail, right? So that's what the rice paper is for. So we have about 5 sheets we're gonna dampen, cut up, and put into the mix. And then we have more sheets that we're gonna roll it into, right? And then last but not least, which I said already, one of the secret ingredients, beet powder. This is raw, vegan, fresh beet powder. This is gonna add a beautiful redness to this particular thing that we're making. So visually, it's gonna even look like oxtail. It's gonna look like meat, right? And then, of course, look at that. Who's that guy on there? Some smoked salt. This salt is sea salt that's smoked with hickory and mesquite. So we're adding beautiful flavors that's gonna really be reminiscent of this beautiful dish, all right? So first things first, we're gonna drain out our jackfruit, right? We're gonna get these empty, right? We're gonna get rid of this liquid because we don't want the liquid that's in there. So I'm gonna just open these and pour them out, and then we're gonna add them right to the pot, all right? So I'll be right back. All right, and we're back. Ladies and gentlemen, cheers. So, if you've never used jackfruit before, or you've never seen it, this is what it looks like, right? It comes in little pieces like this, right? Really nice. And anytime you're doing any kind of savory dishes, you always want to use green jackfruit, never the ripe one, all right? Unless you're doing desserts. But green one is the way to go. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my better than bouillon, right? And I'm gonna get a nice big spoon of this into my water, and I'm gonna just let it dissolve a little bit. This is gonna flavor, ooh, I can smell the bay leaves. Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm gonna add one more spoon, all right, because we really wanna flavor our liquid, because this, like I said, is the initial, right? We're seasoning our jackfruit every step of the way, so we wanna make sure that we're doing this correctly, right? So jackfruit going in. Okay. All right, and we're gonna turn this back up. Okay. Recycling bin. Okay, so we're gonna cook the jackfruit for about 6 minutes. We don't wanna pulverize it, but we wanna make sure that we give it enough time to really get infused from the bath broth that we created. All right, so I'm gonna just put a lid on this and we're gonna let it boil, and we'll be right back. All right, people, so it's been about 5 minutes. So I'm gonna drain this really quickly. It smells so good. The bay leaves, the better than bouillon, it just smells like heaven, right? So we have to let this cool completely so we can actually make the mix. So in the meantime, I've opened up the hearts of palm, all right? And I'm gonna show you one. If you've never used or seen a hearts of palm, this is what it looks like, right? It's the heart of a palm, right? The palm fruit, the palm tree, right? So you can even push out the center, but I won't do that right now because I want to keep them intact. So that's what that is, right? So we're gonna put this back in for now. I also opened up the can of red beans and I just rinsed them lightly, all right? I don't like to use any of the liquid that comes in the can. So just run cold water on it, let it drain, and you're good to go. Okay, so we're gonna remove the jackfruit from the water and let it cool down completely, and then we will continue making this delicious mix, all right? Stay tuned. All right, people, we have our jackfruit in the freezer cooling down rapidly, right? In the meantime, we can get our rice paper ready. So I got my little kettle and I got some boiling hot water, right? And then what we're gonna do, we're gonna dampen our rice paper so we can make it pliable to now put into our mix, right? Now the idea is to get this soft enough so we can cut it up, right? Don't mind my English accent, my British accent. I just went to London 5 minutes ago and I came back. So we just wanna dip it in the water just enough for it to bend without breaking, right? This is what's gonna give us that beautiful bite, that texture that we want, okay? Now, since that piece was already broken off, I'm gonna just put it there, okay? Now the idea here with this, like, see, look at that. It just shattered all over the place, right? So that's how you know how dry this is. So this is why we need to dip it into water. Okay, so I'm just dipping it into the water. I'm just taking it out. And of course I have to clean up the big mess that I made, but not to worry. It's all right. You know, there's people that you can't see looking at me, giving me the side eye, but it doesn't matter. Right, so I'm gonna just add the beans in. Right, so this way the rice paper doesn't stick all over the place, right? So remember, we're just dipping it in just enough for it to become pliable, all right? Dip, dip, here we go. I'm gonna grab my scissors so I can just cut it up. Right, see it starts bending, which is great. And they'll stick, but not to worry, because the idea here is to get this all up in the mix, right? So we don't want to keep it in the hot water too long, so that way it doesn't become like super soft, all right? So I'll be back in a little bit once this is all done. Alrighty. Oh, got a lot of broken pieces here. Okay. So I opted in for our square sheets just because when we start rolling these, it'll be a little bit more even, right, for the logs, right? So we don't have the small end pieces that we have to cut off and waste any of the filling. So we have the rice paper sheets in here, right? That's what that looks like with the peas. We're gonna add our hearts of palm in, right? We're gonna leave them whole like that because we're gonna kind of just do this with everything, so we're not worrying about that. I'm gonna go ahead and add the liquid smoke, right? Add the liquid smoke. Then we're gonna add our brags. Kind of loosely mix this up, right? very smoky. So right now I'm just sort of crushing the hearts of palm, nothing crazy. We're gonna get some gloves on in a second. Right? Let's check our jackfruit. Okay, feels really cold. Freezes is awesome. It's fast. Okay, we want to make sure that it's completely cold. So if you pick it up and it's cold, then we're good, right? It shouldn't be warm. It shouldn't be room temperature. It should be like ice cold, which they are, right? Woo! All right, you can taste the bay leaves. You can taste that veggie broth situation. I love it. All right, let's put this over here. Let's get another pair of gloves on, right? And let's go to town, baby. Alrighty. So let's just add all of our jackfruit in first, right? Make sure that we don't have any bay leaves in there. Alright. Jackfruit in. Alright, all the jackfruit is in. Get rid of that. Then we're gonna sprinkle our smoked paprika, right? And our spelt. Make sure we get everything out of there. Slide that over there. Give this a nice little mix. And then we're gonna crush, right? We're gonna crush and mix at the same time, right? And the reason we're not chopping up any of the hearts of palm or the jackfruit is because we want chunks, right? And remember, this is gonna get sliced, right? So we're gonna have everything in small pieces anyway. So if we cut this up into small pieces now, then it's not gonna be that great. It's gonna be falling out of the wrap once we roll it, right? So you just wanna make sure you grab the jackfruit that you can kind of break up a little, but the idea here is to just have this. This is what it should look like, right? Yeah. We just dropped the peas. We just dropped the peas. Okay. All right, people. So this filling is ready, right? Super important. Now, this mix, we're gonna let it sit in the refrigerator for about 20-30 minutes, just so everybody can introduce themselves, get acquainted, you know, feel the love, you know, get really marinated in there, and then we're gonna roll it up, okay? So I'll see you back in 20 minutes. Fast forward. Boop. So we're gonna add a little bit of our beet powder in here as well, about a tablespoon, and then we're gonna give this a mix, and then we're gonna put it into the refrigerator. All right, people, so we're back. It's been 20 minutes. We got our mix. We got our Vietnamese rice paper. All right, now we're gonna use 2 sheets per roll. All right, I'm gonna just do, I guess, 2 of these just so you get an idea of how they're supposed to be, right? That's 1 for 1. And then we will finish the rest. All right, so that's there. Starting to roll up already. All right, so rice paper in the hot water. All right, this is how you get to roll this up real nice. The rice paper needs to be able to bend, right? But you don't want to stick it in the water too long because then it's gonna get too soft, right? And if it gets too soft, then this is not gonna work the way we want it to. All right, so we don't want to put too much, we don't want to put too little either, right? But the idea is to get this rolled up in here real nice so we have a nice size log. All right, okay, roll this sheet up. We want nice tight logs. All right, nice tight logs. So as we're rolling, we want to make sure that this is being packed in here properly. All right, and we end up with something like this, right? See that there? One nice log. I'm gonna get one more sheet, get it in there, get the hot water, and it's best to make sure that your water is super hot so that way this gets pliable really quickly and you don't have to stick it in there too long. All right, and we're doing double so that we can really get a nice wrap around this and develop a real nice skin. All right, and it's gonna seal on its own so you don't have to worry. All right, I'm gonna roll one more and show you, and then we will finish this baby up. All right, there we go. Okay, alrighty, put this down. Let's get our filling. We'll give it a nice little mix just so we get everything incorporated real nice. All right. Okay. There we go. Alrighty. Alright, and you don't want to put it too close to the edge so that way when you're rolling this, it's not like coming out. You know what I mean? You want to keep everything towards the center. Alright? And you want to be very careful with your rice paper. Like I said, if you get it too wet, you leave it in the hot water too long, it gets really soft, and then you want to be careful. Alright? But see this? Beautiful log, right? Put that to the side, roll it in one more, get it nice and good. All right, we want to make sure that this gets a nice seal once we start to roll. All right, okay, nice and soft already. So we put it down and you start again. See? Can even close that up because we have the initial seal, right? So get our paper over, and then as you're rolling, you want to kind of pull it tight, right? So, but you don't want to put too much pressure on it, but you want to roll it to the point where as you're pulling it, it's tight enough that it stays, right? Look at that beautiful log, right? You can make these bigger, obviously, but I don't want them too big. I'll probably do some bigger. Some of these I might put some hearts upon them, some I might not. The idea is I'd rather get these nice and small with the morsels in them, you know, and this way they're tight, but the bigger they are, the easier they are to fall apart. So that's just something to keep in mind. They don't have to get the hearts upon in the middle. You can put it in if you want to. This part is totally up to you, right? But we're gonna keep them just like this. So I'll just do the rest of these and then we'll be back. Alrighty? Ciao. Alright people, so the way we're gonna store this, because after we roll these out, we're gonna leave them like this and we're gonna let them sit for 24 hours. Alright, we want them to sit overnight so they can marinate, everything can just kind of gel and come together. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take a half sheet tray, spray it with a little bit of non-stick spray, right? So that way we can put these on here and line them up real nice. And That way they're not gonna stick, because this rice paper, trust me, is gonna stick if you don't have some kind of oil situation on here to keep it from sticking, all right? So that's what we're gonna do with that, okay? And yeah, that's how we're gonna store them. So these are all rolled, all right? We did the double. Now the idea here is to slice these to the thickness you want them, and you wanna make sure that you use a very sharp knife, right? Otherwise this is not gonna work. So this is the idea, to slice these really nice like this. All right, so we're going about a 1/2 inch thick, okay? This is beautiful. So we slice them like this, all right, very gently. Wipe your knife if you need to, so you can keep the slicing clean, right? And then we're gonna let these sit like this overnight, all right? Okay. So the last part of this before we let it sit overnight is that we brush the top just a little bit, all right, with some beet powder, just like this, right? Just a little bit, not too much. And then we're gonna let this sit, and it's gonna do its thing, right? We can flip it over, brush the other side, right? This is gonna give us that nice hue when we cook these tomorrow. Alrighty, we'll see. So the other thing to make this look a little bit more realistic, right, is that we will add a little bit of magic right here. Taking our hearts of palm and just sticking it in just like that, right? But we want to keep these intact. So this pretty much is gonna be our bone situation in here, which just makes this whole thing really cool, all right? So that's why, the other reason why we want to double wrap these is so that way when we make our bone situation in there, it doesn't break our wrapping, right? All right, people, see you tomorrow. So we're pretty much finishing this up right now, and we're adding the last touches, which is our version of bones, which is not really bones obviously, but these are the hearts of palm, right? And this just makes this vegan oxtail look super realistic, where is what the idea is, right? Because we want to make sure that visually it looks appealing and it also tastes good. So that's how we're gonna get this done.